Dame played host to the Pittsburgh Panthers, and a team showed up. One of the teams did, but you wonder if another team even got off the bus or not. And because, and one team played, the other team just seemed like they couldn't get out of their own way at all today in that matchup between these two squads. This game was in Notre Dame Stadium, and in a game in which featured Notre Dame as a 3-touchdown favorite. Oh, did they surpass those expectations? Oh, they surpassed those expectations, all right. Notre Dame covered this. Not only did they do the typical winning and the covering of the spread, this was a 50-point win. Notre Dame won 58-7 against the Panthers of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, for those 7 points, they didn't get those points until midway through the fourth quarter, after we saw both teams pull their starters. Big win indeed by the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Now, this game, the biggest defining factor in this particular game that set the tone ultimately, it's got to be that defense. That defense played some really darn good football. And it starts with a guy who was a former wide receiver, Xavier Lotz. Xavier Lotz was really the tip of the spear in making life just absolutely miserable for Christian Vaux, who was a redshirt sophomore, by the way, making his third career start. Notre Dame's defense did not have 1 turnover, 2, 3. No. They had a little bit more than that. 5 turnovers. Notre Dame forced 5 turnovers, 4 of them being interceptions. And Xavier Lotz actually had 2 of those interceptions. And quietly, he's been one of the best DBs in the entire country. If you're looking specifically off of how many interceptions this guy has had over the course of the year, Xavier Lotz, who is working on making that transition still from being a wide receiver to a corner, he now has 6 interceptions on the year. That's playing a high level of ball, and he wasn't obviously the only one that was able to force some turnovers. He was certainly not alone. Jaden Mickey had a 43-yard pick six to go with that as well. He actually took that to the crib. And then Christian Gray, oh my goodness, he had a dynamic play as well. An acrobatic pick, so to speak, to add to the turnovers as well. The big thing here for the Notre Dame defense created the offense. The 5 turnovers that they ultimately had, they scored 23 points ultimately off of those turnovers. And not only did Notre Dame defense was able to force mistakes, even when Notre Dame's defense was put in a compromising position, they found a way to get stops still. For example, Sam Hartman, it wasn't perfect for Sam Hartman. We'll get to that offense in a minute. Sam Hartman actually threw interceptions on each of Notre Dame's 2 possessions. Pitt couldn't take advantage of either of them. Actually, matter of fact, after Pittsburgh got an interception on the first drive, they ended up going 3 and out. They punted the ball, and then Chris Tyree returns the punt, 82 yards for a touchdown. And you want to talk about a deflating moment. You just got an interception. You're feeling good about yourself. Then your offense does nothing. You have to punt the ball away after a 3 and out. And you see 7 points get put on the board anyways. You know how deflating that is to have that happen to you? Oh, that is so deflating. But no, that's what Notre Dame's been doing past couple of weeks. defense is on fire right now. They've forced 10 turnovers in the last 2 games. So the last team that Notre Dame played, USC, yeah, they've been making offenses of all calibers look absolutely terrible. Terrible indeed. Speaking of that offense, though, because that's what you need to actually put points on the board most of the time. Like I said, it wasn't perfect for Sam Hartman. He did end up throwing a couple of interceptions, but he did have a little bit of help. And a little somebody by the name of Drake Estime, he ran for 114 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was a huge cog in the Notre Dame offense. Yet again, a balanced offense. That's what wins football games at the end of the day. And while Sam Hartman did not have his best, he did not have a touchdown pass, he still threw for 288. He still threw for a 72% completion percentage. He was efficient over those 2 mistakes, seeing as, he only threw the ball 25 times. And listen, Sam Hartman is a good quarterback. There's no mistake about that dating back to his time at Wake Forest. But when he's put in a position to where he doesn't have to carry the team, then they're going to be in a good spot to win. Actually, when he throws less than 30 passes in a game, Notre Dame is 5-1. No, 6-1. My bad. 6-1. We can't count. But when he's forced to throw 30 passes or more, it's only 1-1. Those 2 games at Duke, at Louisville. So when Sam Hartman only has to throw it 20 to 25 times a game, that's a perfect recipe for success for him, because then you're getting that play action going. That means the running game is going strong. You're just sitting back and having yourself a good old-fashioned time. You love to see it. So Pittsburgh could not take advantage of the opportunities. Multiple missed opportunities in the first half. You force a quarterback like Sam Hartman to turn the ball over multiple times, couldn't do anything with it, but they weren't in the game, but they weren't being blown out. Like, it was 17-0 at the half, right? That's what the score was. But then in that third quarter, oh boy, that third quarter, did they fall apart. Pittsburgh allowed 27 points in that third quarter. 2 of those were defensive scores. One being that pick 6, and then Raymond Henderson got a fumble return, blocked a punt, I believe. That was off of another 3-and-out as well. Like, ugly day for Pittsburgh, especially in that third quarter. They also allowed 158 yards of offense. So defense was humming along for Notre Dame, and then offensively, especially in that third quarter, humming along at all cylinders. So what's next? What's next for both of these teams moving forward? So Pittsburgh is now in the point where they're fighting for their lives to get bowl eligible. They're gonna be 2-6 after this Notre Dame performance. They have to win their next 4 games to get to a bowl game. Okay. Not ideal, but hey, teams have done that before. Who does Pittsburgh play against next? Florida State. They play Florida State this weekend. They get to host Florida State, so they got that going for them. But it is still Florida State. And you saw how highly we think of Florida State. We think their power is a top 5 team. If we were ranking, if we're actually doing a college football playoff ranking, we're not going to do it in this show tonight, but if you want to see that in a later show, possibly next week, I'm certainly oblige. You just got to let me know down in the comments section. I would certainly make that happen for y'all. We would have Florida State ranked as a top 5 team, no. So we have them ranked in the college football playoff as a top 5 team, and we would also have them power rated as a top 5 team, number 5 to be exact right now. So Pitt, they got to figure some things out quickly, especially with their quarterback, Vinux, their redshirt sophomore. They got to put him in a place to be successful. Notre Dame, they go on the road, but they'll take it on Clemson. Clemson is having a down year. And I just have this eerie feeling that Notre Dame could blow out Clemson this upcoming weekend. The line on that game is really small, by the way. It's like 2.5 to 3 points last time I checked. So it's within a field goal. Notre Dame is favored, though. So I have a feeling that Notre Dame's going to pull away in that game. And it's going to be a convincing victory because I think there's a lot of arrogance with how Dabo Slaney is kind of approaching things with his program. Not saying that he's on the hot seat over there, but certainly in need of some wholesale changes. I think could get ugly here in the month of November for Clemson. I think Notre Dame could easily take down that Clemson squad. We're not high on them at the moment.